Wouldn't you? Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, wouldn't you know it? Just when I, just when I started rolling the camera, um, I couldn't pick up the station anymore. Anyway, hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. I've got a couple responses for my request for help as far as how I can improve my channel and what I can talk about. And a couple of suggestions was to go back away from SDRs, back to the old radios, the old analog radios. This is my Lafayette model HA-225 general coverage radio, shortwave and medium wave. And this one, I try to remember where I picked it up. I think I picked this one up locally because it weighs a ton and would cost a fortune to ship. Yeah, I found a gentleman that lives about 5 miles from me, and he is a collector of these radios like this, but he is strictly a collector. He just collects them, and then he just determines which ones he wants to keep, which ones he wants to sell. So I went to his house. He had a listing on Craigslist, and he had, I would say, a dozen radios kind of in this vintage for sale, and I bought, I think, 3 of them. This is one of them. This was about, I lost track of time, maybe 3 years ago, and it's perfect. There's no scratches on it yet, even with my poor handling. It requires a external speaker, which I just this morning threw this one on there. Not the best speaker in the world. Might not even be the best impedance match, because this radio was designed for speakers way back in, I don't know, 50s maybe, 60s, which were either 50 ohm or 300 ohm. And I've got some of those around here, but I have no idea where they are. This speaker is an 8 ohm speaker, so a little bit of mismatch there as far as the speaker impedance. Going around the radio here, and my lighting is not that good. I've got every light on in my workshop, and it's still not that good. Let me zoom in a little bit. That'll help. There we go. That's a little better. This is what I like about old radios, is all these tuning knobs, all kinds of things you can tune. Going across on the bottom here. Oh, and I got a suggestion that my video views might improve if I bring Mr. Finger back. So here's Mr. Finger. Come here, Mr. Come on there. There's Mr. Finger. Okay, so down here we have the headphones jack, the power on-off switch, the audio frequency gain control, or as we know it, volume control, the RF gain control, which on most of these older radios, I've always set it max. And this radio has not been tuned in probably since it was sold originally. Function, I've got calibration mode, A&L automatic noise limiting, AM and single sideband. It does have single sideband. Here we have a BFO, beat frequency oscillator, which is used when you're in the single sideband mode to adjust that signal that it's replacing the original signal with to receive the signal. Band select, which is 0.5 to 0.4 kilohertz and 1.6 to 4.8 megahertz, 4.8 to 14.5, 10.5 to 30, and this particular radio has VHF from 48 to 54 megahertz. That's a separate connector on the back. I am not going to turn this around to show you the back. It is right at the limit of which I can move things and pick things up. That's why I chose this one. select. Oh, also some of these radios had what's called a Q multiplier. Again, it was a circuitry to improve selectivity, and so you can turn it off. It's in the off position now, or you can turn it on and adjust the selectivity and adjust the frequency. Over here we have, I'm not sure what this is, MVC and AVC. I think AVC is automatic volume control. I'm not sure what MVC is. Anyway, and then over here finally is a receive and send switch, which is if you're using this with a transmitter and you're getting ready to transmit, you would put this in the send. It would disconnect the receiving circuitry so you didn't overload the radio with your transmit. Up here we have antenna trim, and down here we have the band spread, which is this dial here on the bottom, and it's marked off in the major meter bands: 10 meter, 15 meters, 40 meters. 40 meters is broken down into two different bands. 80 meters and 80 meters is broken down into two bands. So that helps you fine tune. And then here's the main tuning knob. Right now, we've got our MFJ 31-foot vertical antenna connected, and we're tuned to 5 megahertz or WWV. Now, since this is an analog radio using tubes, it will drift, change frequencies as it's warming up. And what you typically did is you would turn the radio on and leave it on for like 15 minutes and then start using it. Give those tubes and everything time to stabilize. So let's see if it's still got WWV. Let me turn the volume back up, or what's noted here as the AF gain control. No, it's moved. So I have to come up here and either adjust the main tuning or the band spread. I've set the band spread to 0, way over here. So I can move that way right now, but I can't move that way. Let me see which way it drifted. Okay, I'm thinking it moved the other direction. No, here it is. There it is. Now I'm getting for some reason I'm getting some kind of feedback. I've got automatic volume control turned on, so I'm not sure what's causing that kind of feedback. Overload, it's an overload. It's coming in pretty clear. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here in Florida, Florida. And there it is again. I think that signal is overdriving the radio. So we could turn the RF gain down. The pots are a little noisy. Now it's either, it seems like it's either all or nothing at all.
Coordinated universal time.
See if that keeps the feedback or overload from happening. Still a little bit off frequency. Like I say, this has been on for about 15 minutes, so it's starting to stabilize. It is really, really easy to tune. These tuning knobs are really precise, nice and smooth. They don't move a lot, so you got a lot of resolution there. Nice radio, really nice. This is one of my collector radios, so I don't plan on giving this away. And I'm sure, like I say, I'm sure that, see, I'm getting that overload. I'm sure that it needs a tune-up. Radios, these analog radios like this need, the components the capacitors, the tuning coils, they tend to change values over time. So it needs to be retuned. I used to do that. It's kind of tedious. I don't do that anymore. And it still seems to be working pretty good. I would say, just offhand, the signal I'm getting this morning on WWV, and it varies so much, is about the same strength that I was getting on, say, my Big Bertha back here in the background, or my SDR. So I think it's doing a pretty good job, considering its age. It's doing a better job at its age than I'm doing at my age. That's kind of an indication. I think that's about it. Like I say, do I dare try to turn it around? Let me just try to turn it around. I'm not guaranteed I can make it. I would like to show you the back. All the connections on the back. Okay, that's about it. Got 100 feet of speaker wire. Oh, Jesus. Wait a minute here. Okay, where's Mr. Finger when I need him? Okay, you can actually see the tubes up under this little shell here. And it's got a lot of tubes. I would say 1, 2, 3. It's probably got a dozen tubes. Now, they will change values too, again, affecting the performance of the radio. Okay, over here we have an old style AC plug, so you could power something else, maybe an amplifier for the speaker or something like that. And then here we have the zero adjust. I assume that has to do with the frequency and how what the dial shows as far as the frequency. So we could, I didn't point it out, but the dial was showing that I should be like at 5.05 instead of right at 5. So the dial was a little off. Maybe this would adjust that. Over here we have antennas. Here's for a high impedance antenna connection. Here's for 50 ohms. This is my MFJ 31-foot vertical. Here is a connector, antenna connector for VHF. You're treating VHF. This is, and then watch my head get in the way. This is an output for recording on an old style analog recorder. There is the speaker connections for both 50 ohms and 300 ohms, fuse, and the power cord. It has a new power cord. Don't know who put that new power cord on there. I did not. But that's about it. It weighs about 25 pounds, I guess. Pretty heavy chassis, metal chassis, of course. Built like a tank. I mean, and I assumed Lafayette, the Lafayette stores, which were similar to Radio Shack stores, although not as many around, they also had their brand on radios that were built by other companies. I don't know what this particular radio was, who it was built by originally. I don't know. Maybe some of my viewers will know. Again, let me go back if I can. Stupid watch. Again, the model is HA-225. This one is in pristine condition. Yeah, we're about 5.05 on the scale instead of 5 megahertz. So possibly that knob on the back could use to realign this so that it's more accurate. That's it. Hope you enjoyed my show. This is, like I say, this is one of my old radios that I can actually still move. Now I have, and I'll show you quickly as I'm closing here without destroying anything, hopefully. I have a number of Collins radios, of which that's not one. You're going to see my mess now. And we go up. There's one right there, which I've actually done a review of. I've done a review with it in place because I can't move it. Above that, and I've shown these before, above there is a helicopter. Again, I can't move it anymore. Down here, this is, excuse me, that one up there on top, that's a hammerling. This is also a hammerling. So I have what they used to call, or still call, the amateur radio operators call boat anchors, because they're so heavy they could be used as a boat anchor on a ship. I have, let me see what I can put. Oh, I see another one hidden down there. Let me just briefly show you, if I can, down there behind that table. Is, there's another Amlin SP600. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking the other direction, 5, 6, a lot of them are buried, 7, 8. I have one that's buried over here. Come on, camera. There's one over there under that towel. I have probably a dozen boat anchors in this workshop. I don't believe I have any at my off-site storage place. Again, being the reason was when I got that off-site storage place, I couldn't easily move big things like boat anchors, so boat anchors stayed here, and the little radios and computers went there. So that's it. If you enjoyed this show, please give me a thumbs up. I'm hopefully doing something that is of more interest to the majority of my viewers. Have a great day. Bye-bye.